All right, what's going on? Welcome to the podcast. In this episode, we are going to be breaking down 5 different motivators that I've used personally to keep myself going, and I want to share them with you because I do think that there's going to be times where, let's just be real, we're going through the motions. We are not necessarily putting in the work at the level that we need to put in the work at, and if we're just being honest with ourselves, sometimes we just need that extra bump. So the first motivator that I want you to take a look at is a competitor in your space. I want you to go find a competitor in your space. I want you to take a look at what they're doing. And here is where this gets fun. You're not necessarily going to find a competitor in your space or going against the next Goliath in your space just for the sake of comparing yourself to them. I think that defeats the purpose, right? What I want you to do, something that served me, is I would find a competitor in my space and then I would see how they're servicing clients. So number one is I can see what they're doing that's working, right? Because if they're still in business, there's obviously something that they're doing right that I can maybe look at and say, okay, maybe I can model that, make it my own. But the second most important thing that, at least for me, it really got my wheels turning was when I would watch competitors or take a look at competitors rather, that they weren't treating clients the way that I would typically treat them. And then word of mouth would start to get around and people would say, you know, so and so down the street. Yeah, well, they're not as good. They are overpriced for what they're offering. This is what they're offering. This is how they're treating their clients. It doesn't have good satisfaction. Their clients aren't getting the results, whatever it is. And then I would say, okay, I would use that as a motivator to say, these people are paying, let's say, the same amount of money or more money for a service or for a product that I know for a fact we can make 10 times better over here and actually get them the results that they want. And so there would be like a switch that would go off. And I would say, okay, if my mom was making that purchase and my mom would tell me, this is what I got, this is what I thought I would get, and I feel like I got gypped, that would piss me off. And that would make me want to do something about it, right? So it would be the same thing in this scope or in this landscape. So take out mom, insert client. So now there's more of what I say, more of a bites behind of why you're doing what you're doing, especially again on days where you're wondering, man, this is my third version. Like the other day, I was working on some new procedures for our company here, and I was thinking to myself, man, why am I even doing this? Like, no one else is probably doing this. Like, this isn't gonna get you the applauses. This isn't something that I'm gonna post about on social media, right? Not everything goes on social media. This isn't anything that's it's not gonna be award winning in terms of wow, that was amazing. That was like content kind of gives you that satisfaction. But some of the more boring work that I would say on the back end with business doesn't necessarily do it. And then I immediately had that aha moment, especially as I was crafting up this podcast. And I said, you know what, we got to talk about this. Is the fact that other people aren't doing this is exactly why we need to do this, because it's going to help take care of our clients and get them the results of what the freak they're signing up for. So that's how I want you to see it. Insert your business, insert your product. So find a competitor, see how they're not treating the clients, and go ahead and take advantage of that and use that as fuel to, again, do the work that needs to be done and do the work that's required. The second motivator that I think is an interesting spin that you can use, that I've used, is you always want to set 3 targets. And I know that for the most part, everyone's going to be wired a little bit differently, but for the purpose of this example, I'm going to give you 3 targets that are more on the monetary side with a little bit of lifestyle. Here's what I mean. The first target that I would set would be a luxury target. Now, using myself as an example, we recently brought on, maybe about a year ago, a nanny. That to me, I don't care how anyone slices it. They can say, well, it's a necessity. You know, you're in business, you got 4 kids, whatever it is. I'll tell you right now, that's a luxury. I'm well aware of it, of having a nanny. Although it is an investment, although she is on payroll, I'll say that's a luxury because I'm getting a lot of time back. My wife is getting a lot of her time back that we can spend also with each other, because my wife is also working on things outside of being a mom, and rightfully so, right? I'm working on things outside of being a dad to be able to build a legacy for a family, right? And so that was like that first big luxury where I would say, okay, if things start feeling like, okay, I've made it, I've arrived, well, what's the next level to this, right? Let's go ahead and set up a luxury type of purchase or a luxury type of lifestyle setup, right? I'm not a flashy guy, but I do believe in buying my time back. I'm huge on that. The second area or the second target that I would normally set would be a security. And that for some of us is going to be either in a neighborhood that you live in, maybe you want to live in a better neighborhood, or monetary of I want to have 6 to 12 months of reserves. I want to have 12 months of reserve if anything hits the fan. I want to have 3 months of reserves. So it was slowly build up. So at first it was 30 days. And then I said, okay, can we scale it to 90 days? And then, okay, can we get it to 6 months? And then, okay, can we get it to at least 1 year reserves that if anything hits the fan, like our basic home costs are covered, right? Which is your food, your water, your vehicle expenses, which is your transportation, and then your roof. Like we're good. And then you can just scale that from there on what about our business? If everything hits the fan on the business, then rinse and repeat the process on the business side. So now you're working on the personal side and you're also working on the business side. That'll be the security side of the motivator that I would see. And then the third kind of like pillar on that, which is your third target, is going to be with the big purchase or a milestone purchase is the way that I have it noted here. So a milestone purchase is going to be, I've been looking at this listing, this neighborhood that I've been wanting to get into for God knows how long. If maybe right now you don't want to purchase, but maybe you're single and you want to get yourself into one of the nicest condos in downtown, go after the nicest condo in downtown. That's going to get you motivated. That's going to get you fired up. I would say every time that I hit these 3 pillars or that I hit these 3 targets, I would immediately go back in and find 3 new targets to set. And so if you hit the 3 months, go back out. Now let's build out our savings to 6 months. If you got yourself the nice condo, okay, maybe I'm more of a car guy. Okay, let me get myself a new car because I've been riding in this beat up Pinto for God knows how long. Let me go ahead and scale up into the new Porsche or into the new, if you're a Lamborghini guy, I'm not really into cars, but if that's what you're into, go ahead and scale up into that. And then moving on to the third motivator, which I actually have the third and fourth, I'm kind of going to piece them together. I want you to create a list of things that scare you, that if you went after them, like your life would just fall apart. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, where if you quit the job that you're at right now to go full-time into your business, what's the list of things that scares you of what can possibly go wrong? And then on the other side of that is I want you to write out a list of where you are at right now in your life and what's pissing you off about where you're at. So let's bring both of those together because I believe fear and anger are fantastic motivators when harnessed correctly. But like fire, when they're not harnessed properly, it can burn the whole infrastructure down. So you want to make sure that you have fear under control, where it's there, you understand that it's that is something that's tangible, where you feel it, but you're not going to crumble. You're not going to be a prisoner of fear. Same thing with anger. Hey, I understand that I get angry about these things. I understand that my life isn't where I want to be right now, but I'm not going to be so pissed off to the point that I'm going to turn to drugs. I'm not so pissed off to the point that I'm just going to turn to constantly trying to sedate it with medication or sedate it with alcohol or sedate it with constantly wanting to go out. Because when I come back, I'm still going to be pissed off about my situation. So you obviously have to do something about it. So a list of fears, a list of what makes you angry about your life, and then you want to take a look at that list, and then you want to walk right into what you're looking to set out for with it. I can't tell you how many times this has motivated me where I've thought to myself, man, I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to bring on more people on staff. But you know what? That scares me. I'm not sure if we can cover payroll. Let's run it. Let's make it happen. The numbers make sense. The numbers are there. Logistically, like we're ready to go. It's me. It's a me thing. Same thing with being angry, right? Recently, just thinking to myself, I'm not as in good shape as I used to be, right? And that has to change, because if I look at my pictures of when I was younger, I was like, man, we were rocking. We were in better shape. We ran a 7-minute mile, like whatever it was, but let's do something about it. So it pisses me off that I have to refer to, in my 20s, I was younger. I never wanted to be that guy. And so I decided, you know what, let's start making a change. Let's get back into the gym. Let's start watching what we eat. Let's start with the meal plans. Let's, get the home gym now. You don't need the home gym in order to get into shape. That's more of a flex. I'm being real with you, right? That's my way of flexing on you, is to get the home gym, right? I don't got the Lambo, but I got the home gym, right? But you don't need that. But what I'm saying is, there were some things that were pissing me off, but I was well aware of, okay, this is what needs to be done. This is what we have to cut out. And this is how we're going to use anger as a complete motivator. And then the fifth and final, I would say, motivator that you have. And before I give you this fifth one of the reasons why I wanted to even create this episode was because a lot of us tend to turn to motivators of, hey, I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to watch a podcast of my favorite motivational speaker, or hey, I'm going to check out my favorite entrepreneur, insert name. And that's cool. But that can only get you so far. I think that when you really start self-diagnosing things that you want to work on in your own life, and you start crafting up your own custom motivators, that right there is where the magic really happens. And that's where the magic lies. So you want to do things as if the camera is watching and as if the camera is always on. That is my fifth motivator. There's been times where I don't want to send that email out. I don't want to speak to this client. I don't want to have that team meeting. I don't want to go for my 30 minutes of cardio. I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. because there's a big project waiting for us. And I think to myself, what would happen if my videographer were in front of me right now, mic'd up? Guess what, dude? We got to shoot. Like, I'm here, right? Because now I don't want to waste his time. I don't want to waste the team's time. So we have to shoot. You're mic'd up. Or, hey, we're going to record no matter what you do. We're going to record it and we're going to broadcast it. How embarrassing would it be if how you think you're viewed in the eyes of the people isn't actually how you are? And so sometimes when I think to myself, if I'm putting out the type of content that I would want people to, let's say, take on and actually take heed of, right? And actually put it to play, how hypocritical of me would it be for me to not take my own advice? Kind of like the Solomon paradox. And so you want to behave as if the camera is constantly watching you. And so if you're having a team meeting, hey, the camera's watching you, are you going to have that difficult conversation because you told everyone that you were? Hey, the camera's on you. Are you going to hit the snooze button one more time because the camera's on you? Hey, the camera's on you. Are you going to skip that workout because the camera's on you? Hey, are you going to submit that new SOP for your business? Or are you going to create that new training for your business that you know is going to help you scale everything out? Because if not, the camera's watching you. So when you start to think as if all eyes are on you and you make yourself kind of like the protagonist of the film, that really makes things a little bit more fun and a little bit more worthwhile when you think eyes are watching you. There's always somebody watching you, by the way. There's always someone watching you. You just don't know it. So with that in mind, again, you guys know that we never run any ads to our shows. All that we ask is that you leave us an awesome review if you find value in anything that we're dropping here on this channel and here on this podcast. Feel free to share it with someone. Feel free to leave a 5-star review. And feel free to leave some comments down below and let us know what you want to hear next. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. I will see you guys on the flip side. Later.